Hello, I'm Crystal Petry. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Crystal Petry Podcast. Welcome to the third season of my podcast. On today's episode, we are going to talk about a servant's heart. What is that? Are you born with that? Is it innate? And here to explain all about having a servant's heart and selling with a servant's heart, we have Steve Ramona. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Crystal, thank you so much. I am fired up.
Yes. So as we get ready, Steve, welcome to the third season of my podcast. Where in the world are you?
I'm in Northern California. Some people call it Silicon Valley, Bay Area, but I'm up in the San Jose is the city I'm actually in. But that's the area I'm at right at this moment.
Excellent. So you are going to educate us, Steve, about understanding the concept of a servant's heart and service before selling. So explain to us first, what is a servant's heart?
First thing you want to do is grab Think and Grow Rich, borrow somebody's book, look it up, chapter 4, Law of Increase. And there's also Law of Reciprocity. I forget what chapter, but I read that every month. Okay. And what does that say? Every person that you run into, personally or professionally, bring them value, uplift them, edify them, find something good about them, and let them know what that is. Always having that forward-thinking mindset of bringing value, law of increase, and the gifts come a-coming.
How can serving others build stronger relationships and stronger foundations?
Everybody, if you're married, if you had a boyfriend or girlfriend, how'd you build a relationship? You meet for your first date, which is usually your story, but you get to know somebody. You get to know if they're a fit for you, to be married, to be in a relationship with you. It's the same thing with business, but we forget that. We're still dealing with people, with humans who have emotions, feelings, thoughts. And when I meet someone, I just met a lady yesterday, Lynn. She has a nonprofit. And I said, how can I support you? She's like, I am not being seen. For 35 minutes, I gave her so much value. She sent me a beautiful testimonial. That's within 10 minutes.
Wow.
Because I went, this is what you need to do. Here's some thoughts I think would help you. Here's what beautiful nonprofit. I love what you're doing. Edifying, bringing resources, bringing introductions. All those things come together. It doesn't have to be all of them, but always thinking, how can I increase? Transformational, not transactional.
And the word edifying, what does that word mean?
I love your background. You did a great job on that background, Crystal. That's edifying you. And your smile, look how you smile. I guarantee you 99.9% of the time when you do that, you're going to make somebody smile. But here's the thing. We don't know what shoes they're walking into. Real quick story, and this is such a great question. Thank you, Krista. You're a rock star. Edifying you again just by always finding good things about people. I went to the grocery store, had a bad day. I went to buy groceries, and I had this calling to help this lady in front. She had a baby. They helped me buy her groceries.
Wow.
Clerk's like, dude, I'm in California. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Dude, no does that, 2:30 in the afternoon. I think it was just us. Come on, I want to do this. It's just something I'm inspired to do. And I always tell people, when you have a bad day or a day that's not going well, go out and serve. I think that was in the back of my mind, Crystal. That was that thought that, okay, here's an opportunity to serve maybe. So I did, and I bought my groceries. We walk out, and she introduces Steve. Hey, Debbie, I'm just, that. Building a relationship. And she starts tearing up.
Oh, wow.
And I go, oh, I am so sorry, Debbie. I didn't want to upset you. She goes, no. It's not what you did. This is joy.
Oh.
What happened? Well, it's nice. She goes, you don't understand, Steve. My husband lost his job last week. We didn't know how we were going to pay for the baby's diapers and groceries. You gave us another week to find a way to do that.
Steve.
Now, it's a great thing I did that. That's my law of increase. But here's the power of edifying. I didn't know her husband lost. I didn't know. I just met her that day. I'd never seen her again. So her shoes, we felt energy. I never said this before. So Crystal, you get this. The energy of, I have a calling to help her just do this. $30. I mean, it wasn't a lot. But here's the big power of edifying and bringing value. What is she going to do when she goes home, Crystal?
Definitely tell her husband about you. And then tell her friends and her family and anyone else that will listen.
That's why you edify as much as you can, authentically, genuinely, because you never know. I serve at church, and I serve coffee and then tell people what a great day. And one of the ladies went to the pastor and go, "That guy's always smiling, so happy. He made my day. I had a bad morning this morning, and he made me smile."
Wow. How does someone know if they have a servant's heart, Steve? Is it something that we are born with, or is it something that we grow and we nurture as we get older?
Both. You're born with it. We're people. God made us to interact. COVID taught us that. We were so isolated, how the world was going crazy. People were going crazy. I've talked to, my wife works at Trader Joe's, and some ladies, it took 3 years to go back to the grocery store. They just stayed at home by themselves. Some were senior, some reasons, but that's not good for us.
Right.
So I know deep down we want to serve. Now, for some people, it's deeper than most. For me, it's a top level.
Okay.
Like, what did I do today? Let's be transparent. I love being, I kind of screwed up. I didn't book this right. But right when you sent me that email, my first thought is, how can I fix this? How can I bring her value? Because we're all going to mess up. God made us fallible.
Yes.
God, we're going to make mistakes. You all listening, you've all made mistakes. Some very big, some, medium sized, and some small.
Mm-hmm.
But we can always recover from that by serving. And look what you did. You're smiling. You're beautiful. You're happy. We're doing this. So it's everybody. But we got to practice and nurture it. I think it's a skill, like gratitude, like listening. We'll talk later about all those skills that you're developing. This is a skill. Just go out starting Monday. We're talking on a Friday. Audience, go out on a Monday or tomorrow and just keep in mind, serve and write it down. I served the lady at the grocery store. I served at the shoe store. Did this, did that, did this. Here's a great way to serve, audience. I always grab a waitress's or waiter's manager when they're good.
Okay.
Done this about 200 times. And I just did it a few weeks ago. And she was awesome. We were at the bar. There was only 5 pot stickers. Should have been 6. We're going to give you a discount. Right when she drops the plate down, she doesn't happen all the time. She was great. And how can I help you? Right. So we're leaving. I said, Margarita, can you grab your manager? She goes, everything okay? All right. Just grab your manager. I do this to set it up because I really want to make an impact. Again, edify. Mm-hmm. The manager comes over. She's shaking. And I know they had a conversation. What'd you do wrong? Because I talked to her and I said,
yes,
this Margarita is one of the best waitresses. I'll tell you what, if I had a restaurant, I would take her away from you. I'm kidding. I don't have a restaurant. She laughed. She goes, I said, how often do you hear it? She goes, I've been here 2 years. I've heard it 5 times.
Because normally when people are asking for the manager, it is not a good thing.
You read it. So if you want to start learning how to bring value and how good you feel. And the cool side of the story was there's another bartender. As we're walking out, I'm hearing in the background, he's like, well, he didn't talk about me. And she goes, well, you didn't serve him. Service. And nothing wrong with the gentleman bartender. He just didn't serve us.
Yes.
But that's the power of service and rewarding that service.
Shouldn't, like when wanting service, you should go out looking for ways to serve, to keep it top of mind. And then it becomes habitual.
It's exactly what happened to me. The feelings every time I get to do it, the grocery store, the restaurant. I just did something. I do it so many times I forget. But the feeling that you get from people, it spurs you on. But here, Crystal, is a really important point. It's hard to understand, but the universe loves it. And because I've been serving big time for the last 3 years, gifts have come to me, opportunities, like I told you, has come to me.
Yes.
because there's no ROI in me serving you and being a great guest on your podcast. You're not going to give me $1,000. Hey, he's a great guest. And I don't care. That's transactional. What I care about is bringing you the best. I know sometime, somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to come into my life or something's going to come into my life and go, here's Steve. And it's happened. And it can happen for anybody. The universe is agnostic. It will help anybody. Color, race, gender, all that. That's what I love about it. For me, it's God. But if you're not a God-like person, it's the universe. And it's so beautiful, Crystal. It's a wonderful thing.
How does having a servant's heart align with leadership? Or does it?
Servant leadership. They're actually teaching that now in college. I met a teacher that teaches. He actually teaches. He's a guest on my podcast. He's a leadership teacher in a medical college. He's teaching doctors how to be servant leaders. He was great podcast, which of any industry, healthcare needs a lot of this.
That's what I was thinking, Steve. Yes.
You read my mind. So it's a big part of it, because if you're not bringing value to the people you're mentoring, are you leading them?
That's a great question. Wow. What would you say are the key differences between serving and being self-serving?
Great. Oh my God. I've been on 200 shows. You're a rock star, because I've never been asked that. And that's a great question.
Thank you.
It's an audience. Listen to this answer. It needs to be both. I always say in my podcast, you need to serve yourself first. If you're not happy, if you're not bringing value to yourself, if you're not doing things, how can I walk up and I just got in a huge fight with my wife and I'm going to try to serve you on this podcast? It's not self-serving. So now I know what you're saying is, if you're selfish with your service, like, hey, Crystal, here's 4 referrals. Now I expect 4 back.
Right.
That's where it's fallen into what you're saying. So we want to distinguish that, which is very important. Always serve yourself. And it's got to be first, because then I can go, and that's, working out, eating right, reading good books, doing things that make you smile. Maybe it's watching a baby laugh. I'm going to start laughing because, you picture when a baby laughs, we all laugh.
Yes.
Whatever, trigger's not the right word, but something that gets you to be in that level of service. Now, every time I serve, I'm serving myself, because I get testimonials like I just mentioned, or great comments, or, man, that's been the best meeting I've ever had. What do I owe you? Nothing. This is my time I'm giving to you. I end that call serving myself.
That's so enriching, Steve, because I feel like now in the world that we live in, people make it out, or some people, not all, but some people make it out to be a bad thing to be self-serving.
Yep.
But you do have to fill your cup first before you can fill the cups of other people. What do you think?
We're in line today. I'm glad we did this podcast, because yesterday I was talking to a gentleman and talk about fill your cup.
Yes.
But he called the saucer, I think, principle. When it starts filling up the saucer, there's your overflow that you can give back. Fill your cup up. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
It's funny you asked that question. So fill your saucer and you'll be able to serve more. Fill that cup of your, when it spills over, now you have this abundance.
Yes.
Like with money. I've told you I get some big things happening with money.
Yes.
You know what I'm excited about? I'm going to serve more people at a higher level. It's not just giving money, and that's going to be part of it. But now I can mentor more people, be on more shows, help more people, because abundance leads to more. Jesus had abundance, and look what he did.
It's the truth. It's the truth. How can someone maintain having a servant's heart, as we've been discussing, Steve, while achieving personal success? Because, anyone in business, well, I'm not going to use an absolute here, but most people in business, they want to achieve success and keep growing and keep, getting bigger, making more money and things like that. Can you do both?
Correct. We're on a roll today. These are some of the greatest questions.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve.
And I keep saying that. And some people go, "Hey, you say it all the time." I'm like, you know what? I'm always edifying. If I see something good, an audience, just spout it out. We spout out too much negative things on social media. I'm getting off course here, but let's spout out positivity. It's so powerful.
I agree. I
love the question because success is all relative to you, perspective.
Okay.
For somebody it's 100 million, for somebody else it's feeding 1,000 people. But whatever your success is, you need to use this principle that I love. It's called the ASLA principle, ASLA. To be able to serve people and have success, you need to ask, question most of the time, shut up, listen, then ask another question.
Wow.
So as I do that, that's what I do with like the call yesterday. I asked a question, what's your challenges? Oh, nobody sees us. Okay, well, how long have you been doing it? What kind of revenue are you doing? Asking a ton of questions. And as I'm listening, my mind's going, okay, where can I bring her value? Here's where success comes in for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just use she's probably going to go out and tell, I met Steve Ramona. Oh my gosh, he really helped me. Didn't charge me, mentored me for 30 minutes.
Yes.
Gave so many great tips. What's the next step? I need to meet Steve Ramona, or I need to be on this podcast. I need to be on Crystal's podcast.
Yes.
Audience, I get 3 to 5 referrals daily for the last 19 months.
No, Steve.
I can look at my email right now, and it might be for my podcast, might be for my business, might be, can you mentor somebody? And here's what I'm going to go deeper into success, if you don't mind. I guess you probably don't mind.
I do not.
So in my network, I had a guest who loved me. I helped him out with his business. And a couple of weeks later, I got an email. He goes, hey, my cousin is a bartender. He wants to start a business. Wants to be an entrepreneur. You so good at this. Will you willing to help him? Sure, I'll jump on a call for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I did. And, I forgot what he was doing. Talked to a lot of people, but it doesn't matter. I was giving him some tips. Here's some advice. He was so fired up. Here's where the ASLA comes in. So I asked questions, gave him a bunch of resources and tips. He said, how can I help you? The ask at the end.
Wow. And that was your first time speaking to him, correct?
Never met him before in my life. So once I said, I'm looking for a guest that's impactful in business, celebrity, professional athlete. I said, I want to grow my influence of doing business with the Servant's Heart podcast. He goes, I don't know if this will work, but how about the vice president of Google, who's best friends with Paige? I always forget his first name.
No, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Crystal. It was like, dude, I would start talking like a surfer. Dude, what do you? Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, well, cool. He's my cousin. Let me see if I can find him. Now, we've not connected, be very honest. But I call these opportunity doors. That one flew wide open. Why did it open? Because I law of increase. I served him with no transaction at all, no thought of it. We didn't even discuss money. It was framed of, hey, I can help you. How can I help you? I love doing that. That's happened multiple times. Is that bringing success to me? Oh my God.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Okay. I have a transparent moment here, Steve. To my audience and to my listeners, Steve and I spoke, about 2-3 weeks ago before we did this podcast. And just like he's saying, like, you are everything on this podcast that you were off the podcast. So this is not a Steve facade for everyone that's listening and watching. Steve and I were on the phone. It was supposed to be, 10, 15-minute conversation, went almost an hour perhaps of us just talking and you imparting wisdom and advice to me, freely giving it and giving your time. So you told me, and this is the first time I'm telling you this, Steve, you told me whenever I am speaking to someone, wait until after my podcast to do these things. Do you remember this conversation, Steve?
I absolutely do.
So normally, because I want to set it up for my audience, normally whenever I speak with someone I will let them know about my consulting business, that I do grant writing, we do event planning, and different things like that. You suggested that I wait until after the podcast to let them know that I have these services. So I took your advice and I did that. Okay.
Okay.
And the person that I did the podcast with, he was amazing. He was wonderful. He was like, you know what? I know someone. He introduced me to someone that is the board member of this huge foundation called Gigi's Playhouse. I don't know if you've heard about it or maybe my audience has heard about it. And then he came back and he said, you know what? She also works for the Phoenix Football Club, a soccer club in Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow.
Get on with her, Steve. And this is all because I followed your advice. Get on with her. I'm talking about, grant opportunities and how I can, be of service to that organization. And I say, oh, and by the way, Ben, this is the person on my podcast, said that you work for the Phoenix Football Club. She was like, I work for the owner of the Phoenix Football Club, Steve. She said, I will put you in contact with him so he can be on your podcast. And this mic drop. Now, I just spoke with her like 2 days ago. She said, give me some time, give me some days. I got to see what his schedule is, yada, yada, yada. But all of that happened because I followed your advice from that very first phone call.
Crystal, this is so powerful. Thank you for following it. That's audience. That's how I can become successful. The universe is now doing its thing, going, oh my God, you took care of her.
Yes.
And I'm going to get very granular here and very honest.
Mm-hmm.
I could charge people $500 an hour for that. You'd probably gladly pay because of the ROI and the return, because people have told me that. And they go, you got to make money. Of course I do. And things are happening because of that. But that's where it's transformational, not transactional.
Yes.
It doesn't happen all the time. Crystal, me, I ask all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. But you ask that one time. If you ask another 10 times and get no's or nothing, that one time could be a game changer for your business and you.
Yes. And
so you gotta keep doing
it was because of you. So I want to take this time to thank you for giving your time and giving your knowledge to me. And it works. It absolutely works. Yes.
Yeah.
It works. It works.
And it's logical. I mean, you just bring so much value with people. You can ask. Yeah. I'm going to add to it. I'm going to blow you away even more.
Okay.
You entrepreneurs out there, business people or sales people, when you are in a sales call, and we have to sell. That's why I say serving before selling. You're always going to sell. You have to make money. You're in that conversation and you go and they're like, I'm loving all this and this and that. Okay, it's $10,000. Da, 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 da. Here's our program, or here's my program. And they go, it's a little rich for me right now. I'm not ready. Oh, Joe, that's not a problem. Here's a secret sauce. Bring him more value. Because the feeling when you say no to somebody, both sides, when I get a no, it kind of sets you back a little bit. And they're afraid to say no. A lot of people use that to make sales, which is crap. Excuse my language. Don't do that. I can't think of the word. Push people into a sale. Mm-hmm. They say no, it's uncomfortable for them.
Right.
To flip the script right away is go, that's okay, Joy. I understand. Here, as you were talking, I've got a little tip for you. You need a better CRM. Here's a free CRM, Monday CRM. I think it'll help you.
Wow. Yeah.
50% of the time I found out that person comes back weeks or maybe even months later and becomes your client, because they will always remember that time where you kept serving even though you were not getting a transaction.
Right.
And you didn't know.
And in the uncomfortable moment, you kept serving.
Yeah.
Yes. What role does empathy play in developing a servant's heart? And before you answer that question, explain to us what is empathy. So that's a two-parter for you, Steve.
Empathy to me is loving other people. I simplify it that. Again, honestly, you're going to think I'm a woo-woo guy. I'm not really, kind of am not, but the universe is talking. I just read this morning from the Dalai Lama
Okay.
that if you want to give and receive, love has to be part of it. And what he says is, are you a mother?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You'll do anything for your children. That maternal.
Anything.
That's what empathy is. You should love, like I love Lynn yesterday. I loved helping her. I love what she gave me. I love being in your podcast because the mistake happened and I wanted to correct it. We've got to bring love into business and life more. And it's not the intimate love. It's the love of empathy, help, to support. And if the Dalai Lama is going to say that, I don't know a lot about him, but I know the guy's pretty big.
Yes.
And the guy that heard that spent 2 days with him. He's a multi-billionaire.
Wow.
So, and actually, let's just do this. Here's the quote right here.
Okay.
So he asked about life and, how do I have better life and transferable life? He says the answer every time was some version of love. He'd say, no matter what eludes you or what aspect of your life feels unfulfilled, the answers you seek will always be found by exploring the nature of love, both in giving and receiving it. Giving and receiving. He kept using the metaphor of looking at a mother's love for a child. If you struggle to conceptualize or grasp what I'm talking about, when I say love, you look at the mother's love of a child.
Oh, wow.
Hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yes.
And, that's empathy right there.
Yes. Okay. So we understand what empathy is. How does that play a role in developing a servant's heart? It seems like you can't have one without the other.
That's it. You answered it. It's as simple. I mean, somebody that's angry all the time, and we know people that way. I do. And we've always run into, how can you serve when you're screaming and yelling and swearing and, you're wrong, I'm wrong, self-centered? How can you can't. There's no empathy in self-centeredness. It's all about that person. Empathy, wide and deep.
Right. Let's talk about serving before selling. What does that mean in the context of business?
Every person you meet that's a potential client, customer, whatever you call them, it's building that relationship. You can do two things. I can sell you today on my widget, have you buy my service.
Okay.
You just met me in 20 minutes. And that may work. Probabilities are not that, because I've not built you might use it for a while and then you quit. Apps are perfect, software are a perfect thing. It's hard to stay connected. You get emails and stuff, but I go through apps all year changing because I've not had that relationship. So it's usually fleeting.
Okay.
But then also too, if I don't build a relationship, I just sell you right away. Are you going to send me referrals? Probably not, because you don't know me.
Right.
But if I jump on here and I see, Crystal, I hear this pain point. I've got this product I think could help you. Let's jump on a call in a week or so. You available next week? Let's jump on and discuss this more. See if you have any more questions. And then we jump on, hey, great, we start building more. I find out more about you. You think of some things. What am I doing? I'm building that relationship. Then you sign up and you go, I'm ready to go 4 weeks later.
Yes. Yes.
What's going to happen? She knows me. She knows I care. She knows my product will work, which is key. You got your pain point. But what's going to happen? I call that long selling. To the first scenario was short selling. Long selling will get you more referrals.
Right.
From an ROI standpoint, if it's a monthly service or a yearly service, they're going to stay. I've talked to people who have 4 or 5 year clients. They're paying $10,000 a year.
Wow.
Built that relationship. Yes. Instead of taking the 10,000 and run and find somebody to fill that. No, I'd rather sign up 5 people at $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, and carry them on for 4, 5, 6 years. And there'll be more people, because when you take care of people like that and bring them value,
Yes.
that's why I get 3 to 5 referrals daily or weekly. Daily, excuse me.
What are the risks of focusing solely on selling and not on serving?
You're a pitch slapper and you're known as that. Your brand is that. Yeah, you can make $1 million this year, then make nothing for the next 5 years because you've burned bridges. It's not fun for me. I know there's guys out there, and I've been in, coaching. I spent thousands of dollars on. You need to sell everybody, 100% sales. You need to sell that first time you meet them. You need to. It's successful for some people. For me, and for a servant's heart, it wouldn't be. Somebody that want to serve. Hey, we all need money. We've got rent, all these bills.
Right.
And I'm not saying that. That's why the ask is so important in the ask law, like you did.
Mm-hmm.
Does it turn to $1,000 deal, $10,000 deal? And then you take care of this person that's the owner of the soccer team. And then there's another soccer owner in Florida and another one in San Jose. Right? It's this compounding effect. I have a phrase. We are in the people asset investment business. We have to invest in our assets. So for you to have a podcast, what do you need?
People.
For you to do grants, what do you need?
People.
If you're a plumber, what do you need?
People. Yes.
Everybody, you all listening to have a business owner, entrepreneur, we need people. Some need 3 or 4, some need 3 or 4,000. Doesn't matter. But let's just use financial terms, and a financial advisor taught me this. What's compounding interest? Your money grows. It's an asset. I go buy a building. That's an asset I have that in 10 years will probably grow. Let's treat people the same way. Let's invest in our assets by serving them, bringing them value. Be honest, be genuine, be authentic. And we go on and on. But you audience, you get it, Crystal. It's so powerful. Kind of wraps a bow on a lot of this, because that's the ROI. That's the business side of this, is people.
It's people. What are some organizations, maybe we know them, maybe we don't, that have built their business embodying serve before you sell? Do you know any? Besides yours, obviously. Besides yours.
So audience is probably familiar with Trader Joe's, the grocery store.
Yes, we are.
So my wife is a mate. That's a manager. They call them mates. And last year, she got a letter in the mail and said, every employee across 356 stores gets a $2 raise. From the janitor all the way up to the captain, the head of the store. Across the board said a $2 raise. Wow. Don't know if I should be saying that, but I said it. It's out there. And if I get in trouble, I'll take the brunt of it. Because it's great publicity. That is, and she loves working there, and you can see why. The culture is better. Now, what did it cost them? Probably millions of dollars, thousands, whatever that number is. But what do? They invested in their people. Now
they invested in their people. Yes. Wow. Okay.
Nordstrom's does it. Customer Costco returns. That's another one. You can return anything. And I don't know. Totally. But their philosophy is, hey, if it's our stuff, it's not working, we'll replace it. Why do people go to Costco? How do they serve their people? They give you cheaper prices, even though you got to buy in bulk. But they're serving us as the customer. I go there all the time. We love it. So there's a couple other options. Just so I just want.
What strategies can business owners or people in business use to prioritize service over sales?
Communication. Be communicating with your people. That's the other thing about the people asset investment business. If you're an owner, an HR department, staff, it needs to be employees too. Me and you work in the HR together. You're an investment to me. You're an asset to me, and I'm an asset to you. I'll give you a great example. I was working with a sales guy, and he said, I've got this great sales guy. He's just killing it. But he doesn't want to help all the other sales guys because they're looking up going, This guy's getting all these sales.
Yes.
I said, teach him the servant mentality. Teach him if he serves the other sales guys, the universe will take care of him. Well, I'll try that. And we got deeper, but you get the idea.
Right.
So he got back to me 3 or 4 weeks later, and I had a conversation with all of them. And this guy reached out and said, how can I do that? He goes, hey, if you hear them saying something or you can help them, just reach out and help.
Yeah.
Don't worry about your commission. You're going to get taken care of. So the guy did it and heard a guy on a phone call and heard a couple of things that he could change. And he got off. He goes, hey, Tony, I don't remember their names. Here, try this the next time you do it. And then 10 minutes later, he jumped on a call and did it, got a sale.
Wow.
That's just the beginning of the story. So the guy that was top sales guy was happy because the guy came in, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time. So he had a good feeling, but that doesn't last a long time, unfortunately. For me, it does. But, it lasted for, probably that day. He felt good. I helped him out. But I think 3 months later, he got a bonus bigger than he thought he would get.
What?
Because he kept helping people.
Wow.
So if we want to get down to dollars, which I don't like doing, but we have to because dollars are important. Did he get a bigger? He got a bigger ROI because the managers, the people above him, his leaders saw what he was doing, and they didn't think about that. We're going to reward you when you work hard. You stay an extra hour. You don't have to, but if you do, I tell everybody, and kids out there, 20 to 40, I'm 63, so you're all a kid. Always do a little bit more because it will come back.
Yes, and it will be seen and it will be noticed.
That's it. We know all about this, but that's where it ties in. That you're serving your people. I mean, I talk to managers all the time. I've got employees that would stay an extra hour because somebody's late, and other employees go, "No, it's 5 o'clock. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Sorry, gotta go." And it's not wrong to see. That's the problem with this, Crystal. It's not wrong doing that. It's not illegal. It's not immoral.
Right.
Not really immoral. They work 8 to 5, and 5 is they're off. They're off. But if he stayed till 5:30 because the other person's late to cover that gap, it's just one time. Now, the flip side, if you take advantage of it as a manager, leader, all that, but don't do that. And then reward them whatever way that you do down the road. It's. I get so excited about this because it's Crystal. This is not hard to do.
No,
it's this big old thing on top of our shoulders that makes it really, really hard.
Yes,
and that's where the complexity comes in.
So I have a couple, things from what you were just saying. When you were saying, like the feeling when you're helping someone maybe doesn't last long, maybe would last a day. But something you said at the beginning of the podcast, that if you seek it out and you start doing it every day, the compound of that will last longer than a day because you're doing it every day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. So it compounds and it stretches and it lasts, a week, a month, a year, because you're always doing it and you're always serving, you're always helping other people.
You are nailing it. I've got another phrase for you. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here it is.
Okay.
There's a friend of mine, Eleni Anastos. It's just a beautiful phrase. This kind of puts it in a bow again. If the whole world gathered to give, everyone would receive. If the whole world gathered to receive, no one would get anything.
Wow, that sums it up perfectly, Steve.
Yeah. And you're right. It's compounding. Yeah. If I served today and didn't serve for another month, that feeling didn't stay. It's like in a relationship. I'm married to my wife. She love. Hey, I love you today. Have a great day. Happy Valentine's Day. By the way, happy Valentine's Day, Crystal.
Same to you, Steve. Today is Valentine's Day that we're doing this podcast.
And we're talking love. And,
yes.
Again, the universe is talking to us. But we got to practice that. That's not, you don't say I love you when you get married and never say I love you for the next 30 years. Absolutely. Maybe the last 5 years, it's not said a lot. But it's Kobe Bryant's one of my favorite athletes.
Mine too.
Okay, there we go. What was his big thing? He got in the gym before everybody else. He stayed later than everybody else. He practiced all the time. He had coaches. He had advisors. He had people to make him better because he worked at it. It's no different with serving. working at as much as you can. I'm not saying every 5 minutes, but you like gratitude. That's a mindset you need to get to. Same thing with serving. You gotta get that gratitude.
Now, as we get ready to wrap up, Steve, my final question, what is your intention in this space of teaching and talking and mentoring about having a servant's heart?
I've got a very lofty goal. I want 1 million people to see doing business with a servant's heart.
Wow.
I'm being on more shows, incredible shows like yours, doing things. That's my goal, because if I can get 1 million people to do this, will the world change? I've made an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Servant hearts, people that serve, legacy is really important. And the description of legacy, audience, if you really, because there's many different descriptions, but my business partner now, Max Lambright, shout out to him, told me last year when he's on my show, he goes, here's how you look at legacy. We watch a movie. I just watched the new Marvel movie last night. Unbelievable. Captain America. Well, we stayed after to watch the credits.
Right. I always do that because sometimes they put little Easter eggs after them.
And they'll do this one. I won't say if you're going to watch it. Do stay, because it took a long time to get that Easter egg. But now let's put that in perspective to your life. When you leave this world and go to a better place, what does your credits look like in your life when people talk about you?
That's amazing. And that's an excellent way to end this podcast, Steve. Thank you so much for giving your time and your talent and your knowledge on this podcast. I appreciate you so much.
Back at you, and God bless you.
Thank you. And to my audience, to my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. You can get Steve's podcast on YouTube Podcast and Apple Podcasts. And always know, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.